Pays à déchirer, pays à gringoler, pays d'échalborer, pays déconstombrer, pays fin délabré, pays déchets pillés.
Thank you very much. I won't be long. I know you're not here for me. I know you're here for the book, and you're here for the great man. So I won't be long, all right? Anyway, I wanted to talk a little bit about what brought us here. The backstory of the translation of Dézafi and so on. When I came to New York many, many years ago, that is when the earth was young and I was young as well, I won't tell you when, I left Haiti with three things. The first was a small sculpture by the great Haitian sculptor Boaz. I don't know if you know him. Wooden sculpture with a young man pounding. I still have it. The other book I bought with me as well, a book, the French translation of C.L.R. James, The Black Jacobin, the Jacobin Noir. I still have it, and I still haven't read The Black Jacobins in English. I still haven't managed to, all those years. And the third book I brought with me, the second book I brought with me, was a copy of Mieux à crever, Frankétienne's first great novel. Unfortunately, I have a compulsion to share books, articles, ideas. I bother my friends, with articles and books. You like this book? Borrow it. And I remember I was living on Eastern Parkway. I had a neighbor who said, well, I'd like to read this book. I said, here, borrow it. I've never seen it since. And I missed a great opportunity to have Frankétienne autograph that book, which you cannot find today anymore, or at least that edition. Anyway, I'm here, and it is the same compulsion of sharing that really brought me to translation. I was living in, well, I have to say that we Haitians, we are natural translators. Situationally, we are translators, all of us. We live in a country where we have two languages, overlapping, clashing, contesting each other, etc., etc. We're always concerned about how to say this in the French language, and some of us how to say this in the Creole language, and so on. So we have translators' concerns, always, right? So we have a kind of predisposition. But at an individual level, in my own case, I started taking a professional interest in translation when I moved to Montreal, and even in those days, we had a problem in academia, not enough jobs. Not enough jobs. Canada, United States, too many PhDs in literature, in English, in this and that. So I applied for a position as a translator at the Ministry of Education of Quebec. We had some 200 people who took the test, etc. They called me, and here I was a civil servant for 7 years, translating educational material for 8 hours a day. You don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. Well, anyway, it was a great job. Then I left Canada and went back to Haiti for a while, then came back and so on. In the meantime, way back in 1977, I had read Dézafi. When I read that book, I was in graduate school, and I said to myself, I never read anything like this. I never read anything like this. This kind of Creole, I have never read. It was a book where our language was used in a way nobody else used it. the author, Frankétienne here, used words that danced, that sang, that played, that laughed, that cried, and the music of it. And the conception of the book itself, it was a novel. You got a narrative in it, you got poetic sequences, you got stream of consciousness, and it's laid out on the page in a very strange way. Lots of blank spaces and so on and so on. It was good. But anyway, once you start reading it, and as a quote-unquote provincial middle-class Haitian, yes, I spoke Creole, but it wasn't that deep Creole. I found it challenging. George Lang, the critic in language, called it deep Creole. It's not your middle-class Creole, you know how middle-class Haitians speak, right? A lot of French, a lot of Gallicisms, a lot of French sentences, whole French sentences, alternating with Creole, and sometimes they mess with the Creole syntax and so on and so forth. That's how I speak. But the deep Creole is something else. It's a whole autonomous language. And some of us have problem with it. To the effect that even a dear good friend of mine, who passed away last year, and this is why I won't name his name, very good friend, great friend of Frankétienne. He read Dézafi and Dézafi. He was much older than me. He read Dézafi and Dézafi, the French recreation of Dézafi by Frankétienne. He never read Dézafi. He couldn't. No? But anyway, that book was there in the back of my mind all the time. I revisited it all the time and so on. And again, my compulsion to share, I said, no. I have to show the world this book. Because, of course, there are only 10 million of us who speak Haitian Creole. And you have, what is it now? What's the population of the world now?
5 billion.
There must be a lot of people who would like to read this book. So, in the back of my mind, I said to me, I must do something with it. In the meantime, I did translate René Despestre, I did translate Antinofime, and at one time I translated Palintet. Frankétienne had a great work, the play Palintet, and so on. And then at one point, I was teaching Caribbean literature in North Carolina at Mount Olive University. And when I teach Caribbean literature, I include the whole Caribbean. Hispanophone, Anglophone, Francophone, Creolophone, the whole thing. Some people just look at the Anglophone Caribbean, some Francophone. I mix everything. And of course, I use translation of works, into English. And the great difficulty I had was to find Haitian text. We do have the standard, the old standards such as Jacques Roumain's Masters of the Do, translated by Langston Hughes. You have a few poems here, etc., etc. And I said to myself, somebody has to do something about it. Normally, of course, when you have an organized state, the state would intervene and encourage translation of the literature into other languages, giving grants, rewarding translation. That's what they do historically. The church did that, the court of the kings did that. We have to remember, of course, King James had 47 translators working on the King James Bible. That's what we do. But we don't have such a state. So individuals have to take the initiative. And so I armed myself with courage. I went to a conference of Antinofime in Haiti in 2013, found Frankétienne's address, went to his house and said, would you like to give me the authorization to translate your great work? I did this before, I did that before, I have a track record. He and his wife very graciously received me, we talked and so on and so forth. He said, well, I'll send you the letter. Send me the letter, and then now the pain starts. I tell you, I didn't know what I was getting into. It took me about 4 years, a lot of frustrations with the Creole. I had a lot of consultants, advisors, Frankétienne and his wife, of course. Anytime I had difficulty, email, very graciously, very quickly, and send me an answer. There was the great scholar Maximilien Laroche, who died too last year, a good friend of mine, who knows his Creole extremely well. In fact, he's the only Asian scholar I know who wrote a whole book on literary theory in Creole, which I have. The only one I have. He knows it very well, he knows Dézafi, Frankétienne well. My friend Jean-Jonassin, who also launched Frankétienne internationally, through the publication, the publication of his journal, Dérive, many years ago. And also he edited a special issue of the Haitian Studies Journal, so made Frankétienne known internationally. And I work with all those people. Lots of drafts, lots of corrections, until in the end, I was feeling ready to submit it somewhere. Now the question is finding a publisher, which is another thing they don't teach you in grad school. They don't teach you that kind of thing. Oh, I went all over the place. I taught in Taiwan for 4 years. I made lots of friends there. And on a trip to Taiwan, I was having a lunch with the friends. One of them was the representative of Western publishers for Asia. And he said, Asselin, don't worry about it. I'll find you someone in about a week. In a week, he said, write to those people at Virginia, University of Virginia Press. Right? Tell them, I recommended you. Then the publisher was very excited. He said, I must have Frankétienne on her catalog. Right? Then, well, the whole thing, review of the manuscripts, etc., etc., etc. Now, the publisher told me as well that it is their practice to have some institutions subsidize the publication. It's symbolic. Whenever they publish translation, they must have somebody, and it's some kind of institution subsidizing. Now, that was hard. At that point, I had retired, no institutional affiliation, nothing. It was impossible to find anybody who would say, here's $1,500 to subsidize this thing. And again, Taiwan saved me. My friend in Taiwan said, Asselin, don't worry about it. To subsidize it. Then the book came out, and I'm glad that we have readers who appreciated it, who understood the importance of that work. The first word published, the first novel published in the kreyòl language, the first translation of that work, and I do hope that you find it as interesting in English as it is in kreyòl. Now, a translation, of course, is always provisional. It's never perfect. There are parts of it, in retrospect, I don't even want to read the book sometimes because I say, I try to want to say, damn, what did I do with that particular passage? I could have done better there. So I don't want to revisit it too often. Right? So I'm sure that in a generation, 2 generations, somebody else will try. Just like we have thousands of translations of Shakespeare, hundreds of translations of the Bible. I do hope at some point we'll have other English translations of Dézafi, and Chinese. In fact, I'm talking with some friends in Taiwan who are interested in doing a Chinese translation, and Spanish, and Italian, and so on. Because Haiti doesn't have much, but we do have a great culture, the literature, the food, the music, the dance, that we can share with the world. And this is what I'm trying to do, sharing what we have best, so that when we think about Haiti, it's no longer chaos or violence or whatever, but that's a country also that has great artists, great writers. And one of them is with us here today. Thank you very much.